Tonight, let us journey back to a time long ago when the earth was very different from ours today. Gentle hills rolled silently under soft skies, and ancient cities rose among fields and rivers. It was in one such land, called the Plains of Jordan, that a quiet story unfolded about a man named Lot and the place he called home. Lot was a man who lived in the city of Sodom, a bustling place where many people dwelled. This city was known far and wide, for its walls were strong and its streets full of noise and life. But with all its busy sounds and bright lights, Sodom was a city that carried a heavy shadow, a shadow which made the heavens watch quietly with concern. Before the story truly begins, it is important to know that Lot was not alone. He had family, a wife and 2 daughters, who were his closest companions. They lived there together, in a simple house not far from the city gates. The days passed in their usual rhythm, waking with the morning light, walking along the dusty streets, sharing meals surrounded by the city's hum. One peaceful evening, as the sun dipped low, coloring the sky in hues of soft pink and gold, 2 strangers came quietly to Sodom's city gates. These were not ordinary travelers. They were messengers, angels, though this was not yet known to the people around. Lot saw them first. His heart felt a gentle urge to show kindness, so he invited the travelers to stay at his home. It was an offer of hospitality, a custom well known in those ancient days, and one Lot held dear. Inside Lot's house the strangers rested. Outside, the city around them hummed and moved as always, unaware of the calm that had settled within those walls. Lot spoke gently to his visitors, his voice calm and steady. In the softness of the evening, he offered what little he had: water to wash their feet, bread to ease their hunger. The kindness was simple, but it was a light in the dark evening. As night grew deeper, the mood outside shifted. Whispers rose among the city's people, voices that carried intentions not so kind. The streets, once lively, now held attention as some gathered near Lot's home. This moment stretched quietly, almost like a paused breath, waiting to see what would come next. The strangers revealed to Lot a serious concern. Their faces, calm yet firm, held a quiet warning. They told him gently that in the morning, the city would face a great change. The telling was soft but clear. A time of leaving would soon be upon Lot and his family. Lot listened carefully, his heart beating slow and sure. The night was quiet around them, broken only by the occasional sigh of wind through the olive trees. The angel spoke words filled with care, urging Lot to prepare, to gather his loved ones, and leave the city behind before the sun rose again. Little by little, these words settled like dew upon the earth, soft, delicate, and full of meaning. Lot moved calmly through the hours that remained before dawn. He spoke to his family in low, peaceful tones, sharing what he had learned from the visitors. They listened with quiet trust, their fears tucked away as best they could. Outside, the world seemed to hold its breath. The night skies stretched wide and dark, studded with bright stars that twinkled as if whispering secrets of old. The air was cool and still, wrapping the city in a cloak of silence that mingled with anticipation. Then, with the first blush of light, the moment to leave came softly. The angels gently helped Lot and his family to hurry, yet there was no rush, only a steady movement toward the quiet road that led away from the city. Step by step, they moved, each one carrying a small bundle, each one holding close the hope of a new beginning. Lot's wife followed behind, her thoughts quiet, her heart unsure. Their daughters walked beside her, their eyes wide and searching, catching the pale colors of dawn as they traveled this path into the unknown. Before setting out, the angel spoke again with a calm voice, instructing them simply, but with care. They asked that no one look back. This, they said, was important. It was a gentle insistence, meant to keep the journey safe, to guide Lot's family forward with steady hearts. So, with soft steps and quiet breath, they moved. The city of Sodom stayed behind them, its walls disappearing slowly into the morning mist. The sounds of the city dimmed, replaced by the gentle rustle of grass and the distant call of birds welcoming the new day. As they walked, the sky lightened, touched by soft colors, pale blue and warm peach, gentle hues that promised a fresh start. The angel's presence was like a soothing breeze, unseen yet felt, guiding the family along the way with calm assurance. In this quiet moment of departure, the story rests gently, like a leaf floating on a slow-moving stream. The past city, with all its noise and shadow, fades behind. Ahead is the silent promise of open fields and fresh air, a new chapter waiting to be written by those who dare to step into the unknown. This is where we pause for now, in the stillness of early morning, with Lot and his family moving forward with soft courage. The path ahead is quiet and wide, touched by the light of dawn, and wrapped in the calm hope of tomorrow. The road before them seemed both endless and yet tenderly quiet in the awakening light. The weight of the night's urgency still pressed upon them, but with each step, the open air brought a subtle calm. The fields stretched wide, dotted with morning flowers bending gently in the breeze. There was no noise but the distant call of birds, and the soft shuffle of their feet on the earth. Each breath they took was full of the cool morning's promise. Lot walked steadily, his eyes fixed forward despite the tumult hidden behind them. The city they had known, with all its streets and voices, was slowly disappearing from sight, swallowed by the folds of land and morning mist. His thoughts were a complex softness, relief from escape, grief for what was lost, and concern for what was to come. His wife held the hand of their youngest daughter tightly. Although she did not look back, the tension around her eyes betrayed a heart struggling with the stranger reality they faced. Her fingers tightened for a moment before she drew a slow, steady breath, as if making an invisible promise to herself and her daughters, that no matter the darkness behind them, they would stand together. The two daughters walked next to one another, their steps hesitant but filled with the subtle strength one finds only in the presence of family. Neither spoke much, an unspoken agreement to keep their hopes unbroken, their minds on the new path ahead. The angels, silent and steady guides, stayed close beside the family, their presence a quiet reassurance. They did not hasten their pace, nor did they slow it. Their constant was the gentle cadence that matched the soft rhythm of dawn itself, wrapping the travelers in an unspoken shield of peace. As the sun rose higher, the land before them began to unfold with new shapes, undulating hills and scattered shrubby trees, offering glimpses of what might be fertile ground for roots and dreams. The world was vast and waiting, patient for those who dared to walk forward. Lot's heart beat quietly, but with a persistent pulse. He knew that the choices behind him had been final, and no backward glance would serve any desire to reclaim the city's warmth or safety. Still, a quiet prayer crossed his lips, a hope for mercy, a wish for mercy upon the place that had once been home. In the gentle stillness of the morning, the family stopped briefly by a small brook, the clear water whispering softly over the stones. The youngest bent down and cupped her hands, drinking deeply of the coolness. It was a small moment of pure life amid uncertainty, a fragile comfort in the vastness they faced. Lot knelt beside her, feeling the ground steady beneath him, drawing strength from the solidity of earth and water. He looked up at the sky, now bright and wide, the sunlight painting a new world of possibility. Though fear had not vanished, it softened into something quieter, a determination to protect, to guide, to nurture whatever seeds might grow. The angels, watching, gave a subtle nod before turning their gaze outward toward the horizon. Their mission was clear, and though quiet, their presence was unmistakable. They were guardians between the ruins of one chapter and the promise of what might be. Slowly Lot rose and gathered the small bundles once more. His wife and daughters followed, their shadows long, but no longer trembling. Together they moved forward step by step into the unfolding promise of day. As they walked, the landscape changed. The soft greens passed into more rugged terrain, and the air grew sharper with the scent of resin and earth. Each breath was a meditation, each step a quiet assurance that this was their path now. There would be hardship, but there was also hope. Lot's daughter glanced briefly at her mother, who simply smiled, a small curve of warmth, like the first light of sunrise. There were no words, but in that simple look was a shared trust in what lay ahead. The family climbed gently upward, the city now only a memory, nestled in the valley far below. They had left behind the cries and the darkness, the weight of the night's terror. Ahead was silence that spoke of beginnings rather than endings. At the crest of a hill, they paused again, the breeze whispering soft encouragement through the branches. The sky stretched vast, a canvas washed clean by dawn. For a moment they simply stood there, Lot with his family close at hand, the angels at their side. Lot's voice was low, careful not to disturb the fragile peace. "We will find a new home, one built on kindness, on trust, on mercy." The words were a promise, offered not just to his family but to himself. His wife reached out and touched his arm gently, her eyes steady. "Together," she whispered, and the youngest daughter smiled shyly. The angels gave a small sign, a gentle lowering of their gaze toward the earth, the sign of duty fulfilled. Their task was ending, their protection no longer needed in this new dawn. Without haste, they lingered but a moment, then quietly began to withdraw, fading like soft shadows into the morning light. Lot watched them go, gratitude filling him in silent waves. The presence of the strangers had changed the course of their lives, had saved them from what could only have been ruin. And now, in the quiet left behind, the responsibility was theirs alone. The family turned once more toward the path ahead. It wound through the hills, ribboning gently into the distance. There were no maps for where they now walked, no promises that the way would be easy, but there was a certainty, born of loss and survival, of the deep and steady grasp of love shared between them. Their steps grew more certain with each passing moment. The weight of fear began to lift, replaced by a soft, underlying hope. This was a new beginning, fragile and unyielding all at once. At midday, the sun warm and full, they paused to rest beneath a wide sycamore tree, its leaves filtering the sunlight into flecks of gold on the ground. The quiet hummed around them, the breeze in the branches, the soft rustling of small creatures unseen. Lot sat with his wife and daughters close. They ate the simple bread and dried fruits they had brought, the tastes familiar and grounding amid the strange newness of the day. "There is strength in this," Lot said softly, "in each other, in the earth beneath us, and in the promise we carry forward." His eyes met each of theirs in turn, sharing a steady reassurance. The youngest daughter leaned her head on her mother's shoulder. The middle daughter traced patterns in the dirt at their feet, thoughtful and silent. Lot's wife smiled, a quiet and steady smile that held all the unspoken truths of their journey. As the afternoon waned, they rose again. The path would call them onward, onward toward a future not yet written, but filled with all the potential of the land stretching wide before them. They moved slowly, not afraid now of the quiet or the space. There were memories behind them that could not be undone, but ahead lay moments still untouched, moments caressed in the soft light of possibility. The sun lowered, painting the hills in hues of amber and rose. The air cooled, wrapping around them gently like a soft cloak. Lot looked to the horizon, where the sky met the earth, a gentle curve that promised rest and refuge. "Tomorrow, we will find water, and perhaps others who seek a new beginning, as we do." His voice carried softly into the evening, full of calm resolve. They made camp beneath the stars, the vast sky arching over them, a tender witness to their survival and hope. The flicker of a small fire gave warmth and comfort in the growing night. Lot lay close beside his family, the quiet breath of his wife and daughters a soothing rhythm in the darkness. The angels had warned of what was lost, but now the night held the gentle promise of all that might yet be found. And so they slept, beneath the endless sky, a family bound by love and courage, stepping into the dawn of a future shaped not by fear, but by the soft strength of new beginnings. The morning unfolded with a gentle light that seeped through the sycamore leaves, casting soft patches of gold upon the ground. The air was fresh with dew, subtle scents drifting from wildflowers tucked among the grasses. Lot stirred slowly, rested but alert, his mind already tracing the road ahead, a path unmarked and unknown. His daughters moved quietly, gathering sticks and gathering fresh water from a bubbling spring nearby. Their faces bore the softness of sleep, but carried a steady resolve, mirrored in their careful steps and attentive ears. Lot watched them, heart steady with a calm gratitude. These moments of peace, the simple acts of daily life, buffered from the weight of what was lost. Breakfast was humble, a handful of bread, a few figs, and water drawn from the spring. They ate under the quiet boughs, speaking little but feeling the presence of each other more deeply than words could express. The small fire they tended flickered gently, a beacon of life amid the stillness. As the sun climbed, the family packed their few belongings. Lot fastened their satchels and checked their stocks of food and water. There was no haste in their preparations, only the rhythm of a journey measured by steps and breaths. The sky was clear, and a soft breeze whispered through the valley, as if carrying a message of encouragement from the earth itself. They stepped away from the sycamore's generous shade and pressed forward, guided by the curve of the hills and the promise of greener land beyond the horizon. The earth beneath their feet was firm, reassuring, as though inviting them onward. Though no map charted this path, Lot's spirit steered them steadily, lived experience more vital than paper or stone. Time passed without urgency. They rested often, finding solace in small clearings, sharing quiet conversations about the future, what a home might be, the people they might meet, the kindness they would nurture. Lot's voice was soft and sure, each word imbued with the strength that comes from love unbroken by loss. At noon, a gentle warmth settled overhead, where slender branches swayed lightly in the breeze. Their daughters collected berries, mindful to avoid the thorny bushes that edged the clearing. Lot found a flat stone and sat, watching the sky lean toward afternoon. Then a distant sound caught his attention, a low murmur carried on the wind. He rose, scanning the horizon where the land dipped and rose in low waves. The sound was unfamiliar yet oddly hopeful. It beckoned softly, like a call whispered just beyond reach. Curiosity mingled with caution, but hope outweighed fear. They gathered quickly and moved toward the sound. Footsteps light on the soft earth. The murmur grew clearer, a voice, then another, until they reached a small road where a few travelers rested by a modest spring. Faces were warm, tired, but welcoming. Lot approached with measured steps, eyes meeting theirs openly. The travelers offered water, smiles woven with shared understanding. Words passed slowly, stories weaving together like threads in a fragile tapestry. They spoke of lands where kindness thrived, where communities were built on trust and mercy, where pain had been met with healing. The meeting lifted spirits, a gentle reminder that no path was walked alone. The family settled near the travelers for the afternoon, sharing food and stories, their hearts knitting tighter with each moment of connection. The sky deepened into a richer blue brushed with soft clouds promising change. As the sun softened in the west, Lot lifted his gaze to the first stars twinkling faintly in the dusk. The fire they made flickered bright, casting shadows that played upon their faces, revealing hope that had not dimmed. Plans were quietly made to travel together for a time, joining strength with others who sought a new beginning. Night wrapped them in a tender embrace, cool, peaceful, filled with the gentle breathing of those renewed in trust. The dark was no longer a place of fear, but a cloak of protection, a quiet that encouraged dreams to dance lightly on the edge of sleep. When dawn brushed the earth anew, a tender light poured over the land and into their souls. The family rose slow, refreshed by rest and company. Lot's heart beat steady, mind filled with the goodness found in those unlikely bonds. They walked side by side with their new companions, the path unfolding beneath them like a promise spoken in silence. The journey remained uncertain, but the steps were sure because they were taken together, each footfall a testament to their shared will to create a future grounded in kindness. With every mile, the past shadows grew lighter, touched by the warmth of new friendship and fresh hope. The earth beneath seemed kinder, the sky wider, and the air sweeter with the breath of possibility. Lot's eyes carried the quiet fire of one who knows that home will be built, not by walls or stones alone, but by hearts brave enough to love, trust, and forgive. And so, beneath the sprawling heavens with stars guiding and earth steady beneath them, Lot and his family journeyed onward, their souls intertwined with the dawn of a new day. The morning air was cool and crisp as Lot and his family gathered their belongings, their new companions stirring nearby with the same quiet determination. Light filtered through the leaves, casting soft patterns against the earth. It was a gentle awakening, a reminder that each day could be a fresh start, a step closer to that place of promise they sought. They moved together, the travelers forming a loose circle of solidarity, their footsteps mingling in rhythm. The road ahead curved gently, bordered by wildflowers and tall grasses swaying softly in the morning breeze. Birds sang softly above, weaving their melodies through the quiet hum of awakening life. Lot's gaze often drifted upward, following the flight of a lone hawk, soaring free and unburdened. That sight fueled something deep within, a silent vow to keep moving forward, no matter how winding the path. His daughters walked close, their fingers occasionally brushing his arm, or clasped hands offering assurance. As they continued, the valley widened, revealing rolling meadows where sunlight pooled like golden water. Here the air was scented with mint and clover, and the quiet was punctuated only by the distant murmur of a brook. The travelers spoke in low tones, sharing memories and stories as if threading a tapestry from their lives, each strand strengthening the whole. The youngest daughter paused to examine a cluster of wildflowers, their petals delicate as spun silk. She reached out gently, touching them with the tender curiosity of someone rediscovering beauty after hardship. Her eyes reflected something bright and new, like the promise found in simple things. Lot watched her, heart swelling with a quiet pride. To see the innocence preserved in a child's wonder was a kind of healing, a balm for wounds etched deep into their past. The road ahead may be uncertain, but here and now was a sanctuary. By mid-morning, the group reached a small rise, where the land opened to a shimmering lake nestled like a jewel in the valley's embrace. The water's surface was glassy and still, mirroring the azure sky and scattered clouds drifting lazily above. The travelers breathed a collective sigh, the lake's tranquility spreading calm through their hearts. They rested there briefly, some dipping their hands in the cool water, others gathering stones and smooth pebbles along the shore. The sunlight warmed their backs, dissolving fatigue and filling them with gentle energy. It was as if the world itself was offering a moment of grace, a pause to gather strength before the road stretched onward. Nearby, a lone tree stood sentinel, its broad branches reaching outward like open arms. Beneath it, the daughters and several of their companions settled comfortably, sharing bits of bread and fruit, while laughter rippled like light through the leaves. This, small joys woven between the larger challenges, was the fabric of their healing. Lot closed his eyes briefly, feeling the rhythm of the earth beneath him, the pulse of the land, the whispered songs of the wind through branches. These were guides beyond any map or compass. They were reminders that life at its core was connection, renewal, and the steady, patient flow of hope. The group did so gently, gathering their belongings and stepping back onto the path. The sun now stood higher, warming the earth and painting the sky in radiant hues. Ahead, the hills rolled softly, beckoning with promises of greener pastures and new beginnings. As they walked, the conversation turned to dreams yet unspoken, futures still forming in the quiet spaces between words. Plans were sketched out with care, not rigid like carved stone, but fluid and open, shaped by trust and mutual respect. The travelers had become a patchwork family, each one a vital thread in the unfolding story. Lot's eldest daughter paused to pick a cluster of berries from a nearby bush, offering them to a companion who smiled in return. Generosity had become as natural as breathing, a language that transcended hardship. These moments were small revolutions against despair. The journey continued beneath an expansive sky, the horizon stretching endlessly, full of quiet wonder. Time seemed to slow, measured not by hours but by the shifting light, the steady movement of feet, and the slow blossoming of hope in hearts once weighed down by sorrow. As afternoon approached, the group found shelter near a cluster of ancient oaks, their gnarled limbs weaving a cool canopy. Here the earth was soft and mossy, inviting rest and reflection. Some lay back, eyes closed to the dappling sunlight, breathing in deeply the scent of earth and leaves, a subtle symphony of life. Lot sat beside a gentle stream that wound through the clearing, watching the water glide past smooth stones. It carried whispers from unseen places, stories from upriver that would never cease to flow. He let those murmurs settle, a quiet testament to the enduring pulse of life, moving forward, always moving. Nearby, his daughters created small arrangements of leaves and flowers, their fingers nimble and sure. Their laughter was light, a delicate counterpoint to the quiet water's song. In these fleeting moments, the world felt balanced, a breathing space where pain and hope could coexist. As sun dipped lower, casting golden light through the branches, the travelers shared a meal beneath the boughs. Food was simple but nourishing, wild roots, freshly gathered berries, and bread broken with care. They spoke softly of kindness found along the way, of hands extended in help, and of future days built on trust. The evening deepened gently, stars beginning to peek through the fading light. A stillness settled over the land, wrapping the group in quiet comfort. Stories were exchanged under the canopy of night, small flames flickering as a steady hearth amidst shadows. Lot's voice, steady and warm, wove tales of places where fields stretched wide and communities flourished through compassion. The daughters listened with rapt attention, eyes shining in the firelight. These stories were seeds planted deep, destined to grow in the fertile soil of shared dreams. When sleep finally claimed them, It came softly, as a friend offering rest, not as an escape. The night held them safe, each breath a lullaby, each moment a thread of peace in the tapestry of their journey. In the dawn that followed, the light arrived gentle and unhurried. The world stirred anew with promise. Lot rose quietly, feeling the stillness that comes before awakening. His family and companions began to stir beside him, hearts aligned with the rhythm of the earth itself. Today was another step, another chance to choose hope over fear. The path ahead was long, but no longer walked alone. Together, they would follow the hills where green rolled like a tide, moving toward the promise of home, built not of stone or walls, but of courage, love, and the unbreakable bonds forged in shared journeying. With each step, the distance from the shadows of the past grew wider, and the light of tomorrow stretched ahead, an open horizon kissed by the gentle breath of morning. The morning light settled softly upon the earth, brushing the leaves with gentle gold. Quiet footsteps mingled with the rustling of grass as the group moved forward, their shadows stretching long and calm beside them. The world seemed to breathe in unison, slow and steady, as if inviting them to match its rhythm. Lot's gaze wandered to the horizon, where the sky whispered promises of warmth and renewal. The past, heavy and shadowed, lay behind them now, a place remembered but no longer bound to their hearts. Ahead, open space beckoned, a canvas waiting to be woven with the threads of new life. His daughters moved beside him, each holding small tokens gathered from the path, a feather, a smooth stone, a sprig of lavender. Their fingers traced the delicate edges, grounding them in the present, weaving a safety net of familiarity in a world that was unfolding, word by word, moment by moment. The group paused at a gentle rise where wildflowers bloomed with tender abundance. Bees carried their hum as a soothing cadence, and the air smelled sweet, clean, and alive. Here Lot knelt, pressing his palms into the cool earth. It was a greeting, a promise that the soil beneath them was a quiet witness to their passage, a partner in this new chapter. One of his daughters knelt beside him, returning a smile soft as dawn. No words were needed. In that shared silence lay the weight of understanding, of trust, and the gentle hope that all wounds would find their healing here. The path wound through the trees, their branches arching like old friends ready to shelter those who walked beneath them. There was no rush. Each step was measured, reverent, as if honoring the delicate balance between movement and stillness. Around them the world whispered stories older than memory. A robin's soft call lifted against the hum of leaves. Far-off hills held the quiet shape of untouched dreams. Lot felt the pulse of it all, a steady heartbeat beneath the uncertainty, a song of life enduring beyond the dark. The group found a clearing where the sun spilled down in wide golden pools. They settled in clusters, bodies folding into the earth with ease and rest, as one might sink into a warm embrace. Conversations softened, voices low and steady, sharing simple truths and dreams that hummed beneath the surface like a comforting tune. His daughters leaned against each other, their eyes bright with thoughts unspoken. Lot watched them, a slow smile curving his lips. The journey was long, the road ahead, uncharted. But within this fragile community, there bloomed a quiet strength, a promise built not on grand gestures, but on small, steadfast acts of kindness. A soft breeze stirred the leaves, and with it, the laughter of children far off in the distance, a melody like a gentle bell. Lot's heart swelled. In this moment, beneath the wide open sky, the future felt a little softer, a little kinder. As the afternoon waned, the group gathered again beside a bubbling stream. The water sang over stones worn smooth by time, an unbroken rhythm of life flowing forward. Each traveler dipped their hands in the cool stream, letting the liquid light wash over their skin, a tangible touch of renewal. Lot cupped water to his face, the cold clarity opening his senses. He looked to his daughters, their reflections mirrored in the shimmering surface. Their eyes held the same quiet strength, a reflection of the journey's true gift, the ability to look forward without forgetting, to carry the past gently, without letting it weigh too heavy. The hours folded into each other gently, as the soft light deepened, and stars timidly began their quiet glow. Around the fire that evening, voices grew hushed, weaving stories not only of survival, but of thriving, a life born anew in compassion's warm embrace. Lot's daughter gathered wild herbs in silence, their fragrant whispers rising with the smoke. The night air carried the sense of earth and healing, of places where shadows no longer held dominion. Children's laughter mingled gently with the crackle of flames, a sound both ancient and freshly born. Sleep found them easily, cradled in the steady rhythm of night's soft breath. Dreams were gentle, stitched with threads of hope and quiet courage, weaving strength into the fabric of their souls. Each rest carried the promise of dawn, and with dawn, the steady unfolding of the path ahead. When morning came again, the earth welcomed them with familiarity and grace. Together they rose, the group's movements slow, deliberate, as if honoring both what was left behind and what was yet to come. The bonds between them, woven through shared journeys and whispered hopes, held firm, a steadfast shelter in the open air. Lot's daughters moved beside him, laughter and lightness marking their steps. They gathered small wildflowers along the way, hands busy with creation, innocence mingling with resilience. The path stretched onward, soft and inviting, edged with the bright green of new growth. As they walked, stories spilled softly between them, tales not of escape but of homecoming, not of loss but of finding again. They spoke of cities built on kindness, of fields renewed with every seed planted, of a world gently unfolding into a place where love made space enough for every heart to rest. The sun climbed higher, warming their shoulders and brightening the earth beneath their feet. The world seemed quiet, watchful, perhaps even welcoming. Lot paused at a gentle brook that curved like a ribbon of silver through the land. They stepped into its clear waters, feeling the smooth stones beneath, the cool current meandering around their ankles. It was a baptism of sorts, the washing away not of memory, but of fear, the clearing of space within to nurture hope. His daughters played at the water's edge, their voices light and free as dragonflies dancing above the surface. For a moment, time held its breath in reverence to their joy. The day hummed on, measured by the gentle turning of nature's clock, light shifting, shadows lengthening, the world settling into evening's hush. When they made camp beneath a canopy of stars once more, quietness settled over the group, deeper now, layered with the gentle assurance found only in belonging. They gathered close, bodies warm and faces lit by the flicker of firelight, eyes reflecting the vastness above. Lot's voice rose softly, steady in the cool night air, telling stories of journeys yet to come, not marked by fear, but by the courage of hearts willing to dream. His daughters listened, absorbing each word like a treasured gift, their faces alight with wonder and quiet resolve. Between the tales, between the pauses, the air hummed softly with the shared song of a family reunited with hope. No longer fleeing a shadow, but stepping into a light all their own. The night's deep peace wrapped around them like a cloak, whispers of the distant leaves mingling with the beat of steady breathing. Sleep came again, gentle and restorative, cradling each soul in the tender promise of morning's light. And so the days wove slowly into one another, step after careful step, breath after calm breath, as they journeyed onward. The land shifted beneath their feet, unfolding open plain and soft hill, sparkling streams and quiet woods, a living mosaic rich with possibility. Their hearts, once burdened with loss and fear, now carried a different weight, one of quiet strength, the kind born when trust is planted deep, when hands join and never let go. Lot's daughters, bright with unspoken dreams, found their laughter blossoming like wildflowers in spring. Together they gathered small wonders from the world around, petals, stones, the shimmer of fallen dew, each a reminder of beauty and resilience. The travelers shared their meals beneath broad skies, simple and nourishing, rich with the flavor of gratitude. Words were spoken softly, of shared kindness, and the lives they hoped to cultivate, their voices weaving together a tapestry of faith in the good that could still come to be. Evenings bristled with quiet stories, told beneath a vault of stars, each narrative a light breaking through darkness, each moment a tether to hope. In this space carved from a journey once shadowed by sorrow, the group found the essence of home, the pulse of a future tenderly held in open hands. Their steps continued, steady and true, over gentle hills and through dappled forests, soundtracked by the rhythm of wind and water and the steady beat of unbreakable bonds. Within each heart, the same truth grew clearer with every sunrise, that home is not just a place, but a promise, a sanctuary found in love given freely and courage shared quietly. And so, as the path stretched onward and the sky unfolded above, they moved together, one family, one story, one enduring light leading them ever forward. The morning light spilled softly through the trees, casting slanting beams that warmed the earth beneath their feet. Dew still clung to leaves and grasses, sparkling like fragile jewels. The air was crisp and alive, carrying the faint sweet scent of blossoming wildflowers. Birds sang welcoming songs, their melodies weaving a natural lullaby that comforted the soul. With quiet steps they rose from their makeshift camp. The sun's gentle touch eased the weariness from their limbs. Lot's daughters clasped hand in hand, their faces bright with innocent anticipation as they traced patterns in the soil, their laughter like distant bells. The world was still full of promise. They continued along the path, the soft earth warm beneath their sandals. Each step forward was a thread weaving together hope and determination. Even as shadows from towering trees stretched long, they felt the growing strength that comes from unity. It was not only a journey of distance, but one of spirit. The landscape widened, revealing rolling meadows dotted with wildflowers, a canvas painted with delicate colors of purples, yellows, and whites. Butterflies floated, carefree and gentle guides through this quiet sanctuary. The travelers paused often, savoring the simple gifts of nature's gentle touch and the cool caress of a passing breeze. Lot watched his daughters with a heart full of cautious joy. Their innocence, untouched by fear, buoyed him. Their bright eyes mirrored the slow blossoming of trust in the path ahead. Small hands collected stones smoothed by time and tiny feathers fallen from unseen wings, reminders of beauty and continuity even in uncertain times. They reached a grove where ancient trees stood steadfast, their strong roots embraced by soft moss. Here a clearing cradled a small fire pit, still warm from earlier use, perhaps by others who tread lightly before them. The group settled among the trees, their energy renewed by the quiet strength wrapping around them. Shared stories filled the space between the rustling leaves, voices low and steady. Each tale spoke of perseverance and kindness, of hearts mended through patience and love. The echoes of these stories became a steady rhythm, anchoring them amidst the vastness. The night's darkness seemed distant and less daunting beneath the steadfast canopy of stars above. That evening, as embers glowed softly, Lot's daughters nestled close, their dreams weaving seamlessly with the flickering light. They dreamt of home, a place not built of walls or stone, but of laughter, safety, and the warmth of shared lives. The journey, once heavy with uncertainty, now carried a gentle certainty. Every step was a quiet promise of new beginnings. Days passed quietly, each marked by simple rituals, gathering food from the generous earth, drinking deep from fresh water, sharing moments of stillness as sunlight dappled their path. Their feet found rhythm in the earth's pulse, their spirits attuned to the song of renewal that surrounded them. They encountered small marvels. A deer paused amid the ferns, eyes soft and trusting. Wild berries bursting with sweetness offered nourishment. The sun's golden rays filtered through clouds, bathing the world in gentle light. These moments became anchors of peace, threads strengthening the fabric of their journey. The daughters' laughter grew lighter, their curiosity blooming alongside the wildflowers. Their hands traced the delicate veins of leaves, their eyes gathered every color, every shape with wonder. These innocent explorations built bridges to tomorrow, new memories crystallizing in the sanctuary of the present. Meals were shared beneath open skies, each bite a quiet act of gratitude. Simple fare became a feast of connection, binding them with unspoken vows, care for one another, hope for what lay ahead, and faith in the silent strength rising from the earth beneath. At night, stars spilled across the heavens in boundless brilliance. The travelers lay close, bodies and souls entwined with the vastness, feeling smaller yet more steady. The cosmos whispered stories older than time itself, stories of light returning after darkness, of beginnings sparked by courage and unyielding love. Each day's journey folded gently into night, the rhythm slow and sure. The path before them remained unknown in detail but certain in spirit. They had become more than wanderers. They were bearers of a legacy born through trials, a legacy of hope etched in every footprint, whispered in every shared breath. One morning, the horizon unveiled distant hills touched by the rising sun. The promise of familiar forms stirred something deep within, a quiet call, a gentle beckoning toward rest, toward a place where their wandering might find stillness. The daughters pointed eagerly, their voices soft with dreams of gardens and laughter, of homes built with open hearts. They moved forward with renewed calm, knowing that each moment of togetherness was a seed sown in fertile ground. The journey itself had become the home they sought, and love the guide lighting every step. In this soft unfolding, Lot understood, escape was not only a flight from danger, but a brave return to life's truest roots. And so, under the spreading sky, with the earth steady beneath their feet and hope shimmering in their eyes, they walked onward. The city's shadows receded behind them, replaced by the gentle embrace of nature's quiet promise. The road ahead was wide with possibilities, and every heartbeat sang of courage, unity, and the gentle power of new beginnings. The hills stretched before them, wrapped in a soft mantle of morning mist. It rolled in slow waves across the delicate green, as if nature itself was breathing in a quiet moment of peace. Lot and his daughters moved steadily forward, the crisp air filling their lungs with fresh resolve. Each step was a gentle reaffirmation of the promise they carried deep within, the promise of sanctuary, of healing, of a life shaped by love rather than fear. Light filtered through scattered trees, igniting the dew-laden leaves like tiny waiting stars. Shadows danced softly on the earth, blending with the steady rhythm of their footsteps and the subtle rustle of underbrush. This rhythm became a meditation, a quiet chant woven between the breath of the earth and the song of birds overhead. Somewhere in this tranquil rhythm, old burdens began to lighten. The weight of the past loosened as hope took root anew beneath the soil of their hearts. Their path curved gently around a whispering brook, its clear waters murmuring secrets gathered from distant mountains. The daughters paused, dipping their hands into the cool stream, their laughter rippling across the morning air like delicate chimes. For a moment the past receded completely, replaced by the simple joy of water's refreshment, the pure delight of living in the present moment. It was a sacred pause, an unspoken gift from the world that held them now. Lot looked on quietly, his eyes soft with a mix of gratitude and quiet longing. The journey had carved scars, yes, but it had also painted moments of astonishing grace. His daughters, once shadows of fear, were blossoming under the nurturing light of safety. Their smiles grew more certain. Their curiosity turned to wonder rather than caution. In these small transformations he glimpsed the future he had dared to imagine, a home not just built of bricks or walls, but woven from the threads of peace and laughter. When they set camp beside a gentle rise overlooking the valley below, the golden light spilled over everything, bathing the world in a warmth that seemed to seep into the soul. As the sun dipped low, their small fire flickered, casting long, dancing shadows. They gathered close, hands clasped, voices hushed but steady. Stories emerged again, not of struggle or sorrow this time, but of dreams and lessons learned. Words knitted into a tapestry of collective strength and quiet joy. The elder daughter spoke of a garden where roses grew wild and soft winds carried the scent of home. The younger imagined rooms filled with music and light, the walls alive with the laughter of new friends yet to be met. Lot listened with a heart full of tender hope, feeling the pulse of life reinforcing itself softly beneath their intertwined fingers. This was more than survival. It was the very essence of becoming. Night cloaked the world around them, yet the sky blazed with countless stars. Each one seemed to hold a fragment of ancient wisdom, a reminder that even in vast darkness, light finds a way. They lay back on the soft earth together, silence embracing them like a warm shawl. The daughters' eyelids fluttered closed, dreams weaving through their minds like gentle songs. Lot stayed awake a while longer, tracing constellations with a steady finger, silencing every fear with quiet breaths, welcoming the peace that now graced their path. Morning came again, wrapped in a gentle promise. The air was fragrant with wildflowers and the distant hum of life awakening. They moved forward with a calm confidence, the landscape unfolding like a story written just for them. Trees arched overhead, creating cathedrals of light and shade, while the ground beneath their feet bore the soft imprint of their journey. This steady, tender progression felt like a slow dance with time itself, a blessing in its measured, sacred pace. As the days slipped by, the world revealed its rhythms more fully. Morning mist gave way to bright afternoons, punctuated by the quiet chorus of birds and the whispered conversations of the breeze through leaves. The daughters' laughter ripened into a melody of genuine delight, echoing softly among the ancient roots and stones. The simple act of gathering food became a ritual of gratitude, each berry and nut a small taste of abundance and renewal. In the quiet moments between tasks, Lot paused often, his gaze tracing the distant lines of hills, the swell of valleys painted with green and gold. These landscapes were more than mere geography. They were a living promise, a map etched by the hands of time and hope. Sometimes he would kneel and press his fingers to the earth, feeling the pulse of countless centuries beneath his skin. The ground held memories of growth and transformation, a testament to the resilience woven deep into the fabric of life. One afternoon, as sunlight poured through the canopy in golden streams, a gentle deer appeared on the edge of their camp. It paused, eyes calm and curious, before stepping lightly through the undergrowth. The daughters watched in silent wonder, breath held tight as if this fragile meeting was sacred in itself. The deer's grace seemed to mirror the quiet dignity settling within their own hearts, a living symbol of softness and strength intertwined. Evening wrapped the world once more in quiet reflection. Around their fire, stories flickered as shadows played upon the faces illuminated by flames. They spoke of journeys past, but also of futures imagined, gentle and bright. Each word was a seed planted in the fertile soil of possibility, watered by faith and nurtured through the tenderness found only in shared truth. Their voices wove a dance of hope that stitched their hearts ever closer, a tapestry spun from the threads of love's enduring light. As sleep reclaimed the grove, starlight cradled their dreams. The daughters dreamed again, of wide-open fields, of songs carried on the breeze, of hands held unafraid. Lot dreamed, too, of a world softened by kindness and courage, where the shadows of the past faded gently before the dawn of new beginnings. In those dreams, they were not merely survivors, they were architects of a future where love was the foundation and resilience the cornerstone. Morning unfurled its light like a gentle blessing. They rose with a quiet strength, the grove already humming with the gentle pulse of life. The road ahead stretched in soft curves, a ribbon of earth and promise leading them onward. Though uncertainty lingered at the edges of their minds, it was outweighed by the steady rhythm of trust, in themselves, in each other, and in the sacred unfolding of their path. The daughters took turns pointing out tiny wonders, a cluster of wildflowers bursting with color, the intricate pattern of spiderwebs kissed by dew, a nest cradling fragile eggs hidden among branches. Each discovery was a marvel, an affirmation that they were a part of this vast, beautiful tapestry. Their eyes sparkled not just with curiosity, but with the fierce light of belonging, a glow that illuminated even the darkest corners of memory. As the sun arced across the sky, a gentle breeze carried whispers of the journey ahead, soft encouragements woven in the rustle of leaves, the distant call of a soaring hawk. With each breath, Lot felt the truth settle deeper in his bones. This path, though long and often uncertain, was alive with the songs of hope. Their footsteps were prayers transformed into motion, each one grounding them more firmly in the sacred present. Evening came again, wrapping the world in a tender hush. Around the fire, the warmth embraced them like a promise renewed. The daughters leaned close, their voices dropping into quiet, comforting tones. They spoke of new dreams, not only for themselves, but for those who might one day follow this path, for those who would carry the flame forward with steady hands and open hearts. Lot's thoughts drifted to the city they had left behind. Its walls, once towers of safety, had crumbled beneath the weight of fear and despair. But here, in the gentle embrace of earth and sky, a new story was being written. It was a story not of escape alone, but of transformation, a transcendence born of courage and love, whispered on the wind and woven through the stars. Night deepened, wrapping the grove in a cloak stitched from velvet shadows and moonlight. The daughters whispered soft words of gratitude and hope, their voices threads of light in the vast quiet. Lot watched the sky with reverence, feeling the pulse of ancient stories thrumming beneath the constellations. In that stillness, he knew the journey was far from over, but it was alive with possibility, carried forward on the wings of resilience and grace. With a final breath of peace, he settled beside his daughters, the soft earth cradling them like a promise. Dreams wove their gentle patterns once more, a tapestry of past and present, of journeys traveled and those yet to unfold. Tomorrow would bring new steps, new breaths, new moments woven from quiet courage, and in every step, every pause, every whispered hope, The legacy of their journey would carry on, a beacon lighting the way for all who dared to believe in life's tender, enduring light.